The red eyes?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Well, number one, thanks for being here this morning. A lot of you know me, but some of you don't. My name is Ron Huckabee. I'm a senior. I'm 60 years old. Yay! I made it this far. I'm a boomer with a capital B. So I've been in mortgage lending really since 1982. I was hired by Security Pacific National Bank, which was bought by Bank of America, which was bought by someone else. Anyway, and I was hired right off campus after I did a stint in the Army, graduated from Sac State, got a degree in business administration with an emphasis in marketing, and went to work. And just kind of been in that ever since. Got a couple dipsy doodles of my life, like sometimes things happen to folks, but pretty much the mainstay of most of my professional life has been in mortgage brokering, mortgage banking, savings and loans, and the like. So, a couple of people want to introduce you to this morning, especially for the benefit of those that are watching on video, is I'd like to introduce Paul Filer. He is our president. He's the president of our company. And Paul, you want to just give 1 minute and a little introduction of who you are?
You know, I gotta go on camera.
Yeah.
How you doing? I'm Paul Filer. I've been in the business now for up to 20 years, done all sorts of forward, and I'm excited to learn about the reverse mortgage product. Steve and I had Discover Home Mortgage here locally for 14 years. We were licensed in Nevada and California. Great group of people we have, and I'm excited to get another great group of people that will be joining us. So all of you that are watching this is going to be a good opportunity for you. Thanks.
Thanks, Paul. Steve, you got to come up and say hello. Okay, Steve. Steve's not going to say hello because Steve
doesn't do cameras.
He's our strength. Steve is our anchor guy. So you know, Steve looks just like, what's the guy's name from Russell Crowe. He looks just like Russell Crowe. But you're going to love working with him. He is a couple of things that has always attracted me with the idea of doing business with both Paul and Steve is that Paul is an amazing business person, but he has a heart as big as this room. So when he makes decisions with some empathy and some knowledge and some really good business sense. Steve, on the other hand, no. Steve, in my opinion, in my professional life, he's the best relationship manager I ever met. He can create long life friendships and relationships over the phone. I mean, these people would bleed for him, and he's probably never met them personally. So there's so much that I've learned from Steve and continue to learn from Steve on just building a good relationship, not only business-wise, but personally. So great team of people to learn from and build resources from.
If I can throw in 2 cents really
Yes, sir.
quick regarding Steve, he has had extensive experience in underwriting. He's one of the best processors that I know of in this entire area.
Yes.
And he's relentless. There's nothing that gets through the door. If we can't get it done, then it can't be done.
Right.
So
that's exactly right. So when a transaction comes through our doors, when Steve reviews it, and he will, or as we continue to grow, he'll be managing the review. He's looking at it from an underwriting point of view. What is going to be an obstacle from this being smooth, and let's address it now rather than later. So that's a real important point. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to call Brian at AAG. So if you wanted to pause for just a moment, and I'll be editing this later, if you don't.
right.
Okay, well, we took a little break there, and we talked a little bit with the AAG, and I got a good feel that they're going to be very, very supportive of our team. Like was mentioned with our conversation with AAG, and he was very forthcoming about that, is that you may need more than one partner. So we have AAG, we have Liberty, and we're probably going to be bringing on one more called Open Mortgage. I got to talk with the bosses about that. But that way we can have different abilities to hit almost any scenario. So for example, if one senior needs a lot of credit back, we can do that with one lender better than another lender. So there's nuances between programs and lenders that allow us to do more with one versus another. So that's important to be flexible because not every scenario is the same. They're always different. So that's enough about the introductions. Why reverse mortgages? It was alluded to earlier. And let me see if I can find the right form. Hold on un momento. I know we got it. Okay, I'm going to go from off script. Why reverse mortgages? Well, we're at a point where every day around 10,000 baby boomers turn 65. And out of that figure, and Steve can correct me, but I think it's somewhere about, most of them only have $25,000 saved at time of retirement.
They don't have that much.
Yeah, pretty low, pretty low. I heard 25,000 when I was doing some reading. So if they have a retirement plan, they have 25,000. If they have a retirement, most of them don't. So there's a real need out there, and because most seniors, for whatever set of circumstances, are not prepared, they're going to be looking toward having another avenue to help them have a much more stable retirement. But on the same token, I believe that there's about $1 trillion worth of equity out there in home ownership equity for these seniors. So they've invested in homes, many times paid them off, but where else are they going to get the income besides Social Security? Reverse mortgages, along with some other social services. Why in one spot lending? Well, from a greed point of view, we pay the highest commission split depending upon where you are on the level. If you're a trainee, we start you out at 30% of the gross take for the company, and I'll explain that further here in just a moment. But as you advance, if you close 3 transactions, you get you fully trained, you close 3 transactions, you have the ability to advance up to 50%. Now, what that means is that most lenders, including AAG and their people in the field, they'll pay 125 basis points. What does that mean? If there were a $100,000 loan, that would be a $1,250 commission to that salesperson. With us, because we also include a lot of the correspondent fee back to our salespeople, it can equate to up to about 350 basis points. So you can see it's quite a difference between 125 and 350. And why do we do that? Because we're crazy. No. We do that because we want to pay our people well. We want to keep them excited about making money. We want to make sure that they remain as part of the crusade to help the senior community and where our branches are. We also why in one spot lending? We supply training, on-the-job training. Just in this room alone, there's a lot of years of experience. And for me, I've been doing reverse mortgages, I'll have to think, but I think it's since about 2003, I've been doing reverse mortgages. I started out as a broker, doing it through Financial Freedom, which is a company that doesn't exist anymore. I brokered those and I kind of learned from that. So we have a wealth of knowledge in mortgage lending, and we're there to support you while you're out in the field. That's critical, local support. Lastly, we have a real vision. When I got together with this crazy idea in building a reverse mortgage division with Steve and Paul, I mentioned that we're going to do something different. And it has been my desire for a lot of years to offer seniors an ability to make a good wage. Now personal testimony here, from my perspective. When the market crash hit, and it hit those of us that have been in the business a long time, hit us pretty hard. And so I got out of the business for a little while there, and one of the things I did is I went on interviews to the state of Nevada. And so I'm sitting in this interview, getting ready for this with a division chief, and she had been there getting close to retirement. And she's sitting here, I'm sitting across from her desk, and we went through all the questions and give me a 5-year plan and all these typical things. And man, I tell you what, I've been in sales a while, so I was firing on all 4 cylinders, and I was answering them all right. And I thought I was just doing a phenomenal job in the interview. And then she leaned over and she looked at me and she said, "How long do you plan on working?" And that, you know what? That was code for, I'd rather hire someone in their 30s. And was that legal? No. But if you want a job, what are you going to say? So there is a real problem, income-wise, for seniors out there in America trying to find a viable employment option. It's just true. There's age discrimination. There's problems that if you look a certain way, you have the right Goldilocks, and if you're a certain age and you have the right degree from the right college, you'll go far. But if you don't, and you're a certain age and you have less than Goldilocks, and then someone's going to ask you, "How long do you plan on working?" I don't know if I should consider you to even be a serious candidate because of your age. So what we want to do, in addition to help seniors directly and providing reverse mortgages, we want to give them the opportunity to earn a good wage and learn a new career. And that, to me, is the most exciting part of this venture with the reverse mortgage division that I have. I have a real crusade, a desire in my heart to help folks out. And you're going to be part of that. You're at a real exciting, amazing opportunity to grow with a really nice thing for people, for the senior community, and I think for Americans. So that being said, if you wouldn't mind looking at your book, let's just go ahead and open that up. And we'll kind of skip around here and there. I haven't had time to even put mine in the binder yet. But let's start with the agenda. If you just take a look at this page here, very first one. We did the introductions. We talked about who we are, why reverse mortgages, and why in-one spot lending, training and mentoring, OJT training sale. Okay, let's talk about that just a bit. If you remember, if you've read the agreement, we have an agreement where you really are not an employee of us yet. Why? You're not licensed to conduct business, so you need to get licensed. But while you're getting licensed, we're going to give you the opportunity to start your marketing plan so that you can get 2 things. So you can get an idea of what you need to do, so as soon as you are licensed, you can, if you choose to, you can hit the ground running. Okay, so that's what we're going to be covering, how you get your marketing plan in a position where you can hit the ground running. That's what we're going to cover today. Also part of it, there is a training sale. And let's talk about that. If you don't have the wherewithal or the time to pay for the licensing fees, the continuing education, or the education, pre-licensing education, to get your originator license, we'll cover that. But as skin in the game, if you will, if you don't have the money, you got to find the time to get licensed and time to go through the online classes. But we'll cover that and reimburse you if you pay for it in advance, or we'll just pay for it if you don't have the money to pay for it in advance. But you have to do a training sale. That means you need to find someone, because there's 2 big parts to being a reverse mortgage consultant. You need to be an expert in the product, an expert on running scenarios for that client, but you need to be an expert finder. You need to find business. As I mentioned earlier, you can be a PhD level loan originator, know all there is about reverse mortgages, but if you can't find a deal, you're not going to make it. So we're going to focus in on that. You need to find a deal. Once you find that deal, that training sale, we're going to use that as on-the-job training. We're going to run you through the entire process, so you'll know what's going on. We'll be there taking the application. You'll be there with us. If you can't make it then, you'll be on the phone with us. As we go through the process, you're going to be an integral part of knowing how that process works. And then we would prefer, if you can, we'll structure the closing where they sign all the loan papers. Well, you'll be there, even if it's on a weekend. So you get the full training of what it means to do a reverse mortgage. Okay, now that's a training sale, and that is our reward for training you. And then, but out of that reward, we're going to go ahead and pay for your education. Does that make sense? Is that on a fair trade? Mm-hmm. Okay. So your job as a trainee starting a business, and this is something I shared with Paul many years ago. He may not remember this, but this is what I've always told people. Your job is to get into trouble. Meaning, I get this call from Jeanette, for example, and the call is, hey, I'm talking with someone at the grocery store, and they have this situation, and I don't know if we can do it. Well, can you help me answer this question, or is this possible? And the more times, and I know someone's going to be successful if I get those what-if scenarios. So you need to get yourself in a position and get used to being in the position of being completely compromised, meaning I don't have an idea, I don't have an answer for you, I don't know, but I know someone that does as part of our team. I'll get back to you at this time. When's a good time to call you? What's a good number to get back to you on? So you've got to be really reflexive with that. Don't be bashful and talking to folks even though you don't know all the answers. You can mention to them that you're new, but who you work with are very, very experienced. So getting into trouble, and that's on your form here, getting in trouble, that's your job. Okay? Don't be afraid to say that you don't know the answer. We are your lifeline. Okay, cash flow. Let's talk about cash flow. And this is where I'm going to need to do a little bit of graphics, I think. Where are you? Let me hand this out to you. Now, I've heard different things from different sales gurus, and this is not a science because, as I mentioned earlier, you know, if you do 3 closings and at 30%, and then after that you're promoted to 50% and a full-time status, and you know, you obviously got your first few transactions at 30% of the first 3, and then you go 50. So this doesn't figure that algorithm in there. Why? Because I'm not that smart. But I think the idea is to let you know that it doesn't take a lot of money to make a lot of transactions to make a lot of money in reverse mortgages. Okay, so if you take a look at this form, everybody got it? Income goals. Let's say that on the first top annual income level, let's say you had in your mind, because you want to have time for the grandkids, you want to have time for traveling, whatever your scenario might be, you want to make $40,000 annual. That's good enough for you. That's your decision, and that's where you want to focus. If you at 30%, and I have a scenario we're going to go over later. It's based on that scenario. You have a consultant gross of $10,894.19. That would be your gross earnings off the scenario. We'll go over it later. It's worth so many dollars. Loan size is so much. But that would be the gross income you receive. The gross income for someone on a 50% level is $18,156. So the annual units need to be done for someone at 30% is 3.67. So round it up to 4. You need to do 1 loan a quarter, not 20 a month. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't take that much. If you were at 50%, it's 2.2. So you need to do 3. You need to do 1 every 4 months. So moving up, I'm not going to belabor this too much, but moving to $100,000, and obviously if you're $100,000, you won't be at 30%, so let's just move that up. You need to do 5.51 transactions for the year. So one every other month. 6, right? So the point that needs to be made is that you need to look at the business as a cash flow formula. And let's just write it up here real quick. It's not too touchy-feely, I promise. It's pretty simple. Are we getting this board in, bud? Hey, Paul, are we getting this board in the shot?
We sure are.
Good. All right. So I made a little graphic because this is it. Here's the formula. Income, goal. Right? Now, again, let's say it's 40,000. You customize this however you want. And then divided by, this would be your average earning. Right? So using the 50%, the average in this case would be $18,156. And then that tells you the number of units of business you need to do to accomplish that. Now the importance behind this, and this is really simplistic, but it becomes more complex when you deal with life and relationships. Meaning, you know, you're not just a reverse mortgage consultant. You're a grandma, you're a grandpa, you're a husband or a wife. You're part of a church. You're part of a group. You have friendships. You have life, and those are vital. All those things are vital, and you've got to try to squeeze in your business in between all that. We're going to talk about that in a little while. So the importance of is coming up with a goal so that you can fit your lifestyle to your income goal. Does that make sense? If you want to work all the time, so, oh, God, I'm going to make $300,000 a year. Can you? Yes. Do I know people that do with reverse mortgages? Yes. But they do it all day long. That's all they do. If that's what you want to do, we're going to support you. But if you want more of a balance, we'll support you in that too. So number one, you got to come up with a goal, how much you want to make. Okay? I'm not going to go around the room and ask you. I know what Steve wants. He wants $500,000. And we talk to him. But that's important. Does that make sense? All right. Okay, so once you come up with this unit of business, depending upon your income goal, you're going to be doing activities, sales activities, marketing activities that are going to help you to reach this unit objective for your income goal. And what happens is it is a numbers game. It's not like at a call center, we don't do this. I never have. I never liked that. Where you're on a call center just making calls, and you know every 10th call is a ring, and you know, so 10% of the time you get a transaction. That's not it. But it is true, there's a law in sales that there is a percentage, and the better you are at becoming a good salesperson or presenter or consultant, the higher your ratio on people agreeing to take what you're selling. Okay? They're going to agree to sign up with you. So what I'm going to throw your direction today is all the stuff you can do. You don't need to do it all, but you need to do something. And so some folks might say, I want to do at least these 2 things, or I want to do all 5, or whatever it is. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that. But you're going to find that certain things work better for your personality and people you know, and that's what you're going to go with. You're going to find a niche. But it's important to have at least 2 pillars of your business. You might have like 6 different things you can be doing, but you don't want to just do one. Because just as soon as that is just perfect, that one pillar, the roof, if it gets hit with a crash or a shake or a storm, it starts wavering. So you need at least 2 pillars so that you can keep, you know, your household in good order. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Having said that we have different relationships besides just business, I just want, some of you probably know this and some of you are probably better time managers than me, but I'm going to give you an example of something I do. I even schedule on my old man naps. You know, I have an appointment with myself to have a nap for an hour, and it never wavers. So I just wanted to share with you, if you were to take a work week or a calendar week, what you'll want to consider doing is making schedules not only for business, but I would take my schedule for my life first. For me, nap is real important. So, you know, you want to focus how much activity you're going to use for church, for your significant other to spend time to foster that relationship, workout time, just flex time, just to hey, hang out with the grandkids, whatever that is. You'll want to go ahead and schedule.
This isn't true. I got you napping at 9 in the morning.
Well, it was a flex nap. So fill out life first, then work on business. That's my advice. Fill out your life first, and don't just leave 1 hour for business. It just won't work. But do that, and then that way you come up with it. Hey, I have 36 hours a week to work on my business. Hey, I have 20 hours a week to work on my business. And with that knowledge, I can help you craft what activity based on your lifestyle would probably give you the biggest bang for your buck of your time you have available for business. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, some folks don't look at it that way. They say, I'm just going to work, and whatever time I got left, I'm just going to do that. No. And Paul, I'm going to pick on you for a moment. You're a musician. If you don't schedule time for your passion, whatever it, whether it's God, music, whatever that is, you're not going to be a whole human being. You got to write it in of what happened. Okay? And that doesn't mean tennis. If someone loves tennis, you got to do that. Okay? So common sense, but you got to get in the habit of making an appointment with yourself and with your family and with your passions and your business. Right? Okay, we're going to take a little 5-minute break. Really 5 minutes. If you need to go ahead and use the facilities, we know where those are, and we'll get back together in just a moment.
All right, there you go.
Okay. Welcome back. We'll talk a little bit about the sample marketing plan. As I alluded to earlier, you know, you have only X amount of time each week, each month, each year to accomplish what your financial goals are. And then there's pillars of this business, certain things you can do in reverse mortgages to make income. I mean, that's why we're here, is that we like the warm fuzzy feeling and help folks out and all that good stuff, but we want to make a living doing it and sustain our income and our lifestyle. So inside your book there somewhere, there's a single page. It says sample marketing plan. The bulk of your book has a book in it by Scott Gordon, which we're going to get to later. But somewhere in there's something called a sample marketing plan. While you're looking for that, I'm just going to start talking about it, okay? And I had talked a little earlier before about you need to be an expert in the product, but you also need to be a finder. You need to be a hunter, if you will. Some of the best hunters are female lions, so watch out for these two right here. Okay. Number one, here's some suggestions, okay, and they're all written down here, and there's probably more than what I'm suggesting, but we're going to talk about these because I'm familiar personally with these. A, or number one, update and review and customize your PowerPoint presentation. Who does not have the PowerPoint presentation that I updated? I had emailed. Okay, so we need to get you one. Okay, what you're going to find, and then we're going to go through it a little bit later. What I did was to take an already existing PowerPoint from one of our lenders, Liberty, and I added additional slides to make it more custom for in one spot lending. And it's not too long. So, and I've given a lot of those reverse mortgage presentations. I think you'll find it has all the guts to be in a really effective presentation. Now, when I first started, and I didn't know a lot about reverse mortgages, and I was just a broker, and I put together my own. I developed my own. Why? Is because I want to get out and sell it, but I didn't know all the answers. So I had a really lengthy 45-minute PowerPoint presentation. We went over all the nuances of the reverse mortgage. I had all the answers. Why? Because I didn't know all that, so I know I had my little laptop, had all the answers there. But as time went by, and I did okay with that, because I would give personal presentations over with the coffee table and all squeeze around and watch the laptop, and then we'd go over that presentation. But as time went by, I would run full-page ads, and I'd get a seminar put together, and then we'd have 20 people at the seminar, and I condensed that for just the slides that seemed to have the most impact, and I wasn't rambling, which I'm prone to do, which you can see right now. So it kept me on point. It gave me the ability to educate the client or the prospective customers on how reverse mortgages work, and it gave me a focal point to go back if there was a question at the end of the seminar. We can go back and look at that slide. So a PowerPoint presentation, whether it be just for you and the client, is critical. You got to master that. So we're going to be going over it as soon as I hook up the internet and figure out how it's going to work. Okay, so what you'll want to do is when you do review it, you might want to put a couple extra slides. And if you're not familiar with working with PowerPoint, that's okay, we are. And so we can put your name there, and just don't go off the track too much. An example of what you might want to do, but not be too cutesy. One of the things I did in one of my presentations is I would put like a slide of a cup of coffee, and I put 5 cents. And then I would say, do any of you remember when you go get a good cup of coffee at a cafe for 5 cents? And the hands would go up. And then I'd show Starbucks, $2.20. That's for a small, no sugar, and then things have changed, right? Then I would say, I'd show a picture of a house. Does anybody remember what they bought their first home for? How much they paid for the first home? The hands would go up. How much did you pay? $65,000. How much did you pay?
$125.
Okay. How much did you pay?
$71.
Right. My first one was $58,000. But those from the Korean War generation, $16,000 in Los Angeles.
$25,000.
Yeah, yeah. And so you'd get that, and then we show what the current market was. And so it was a method of engaging the people. It was fun. You could say, and then they'd have a story. And it was a way that if you have a crowd that you can kind of engage them. Those cutesy little things aren't in there, but those things you think about, hey, or you have a story and you want to put a slide, we can help you with that. So you'll want to review that, and you'll want to get really very good at going over the information. And all you really quite simply need to do is point to the words and read the words. Yeah. And that's it. But be excited about it, and maybe go off and give a little example, and then go on. Okay? So I can't stress how important building a good PowerPoint presentation is, whether it be a one-on-one or two-on-one or a whole crowd. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. B, start, update, improve your database of personal and business contacts. Pull from your Facebook, LinkedIn, and old address lists and send them an email on your new endeavor. Start a drip campaign via Constant Contact or on your own. Plan and implement an email marketing campaign. So let's stop right there. I've been in the business since 1982. I have Christmas card lists, birthday lists, written on napkin lists. I've got list. I really do have upwards of about 1,400 plus past clients. I think I figured out one time I personally funded like $250 million in loan volume. That means I got lists. I've got old Genesis software list of past clients. I've got, you name it, I've got it. But what I hadn't done, because remember, I got my degree in marketing in 1982. We weren't doing computer databases on sales. We were, writing things down. But as through the years, I managed to gain a little dexterity, if you will, some knowledge of how to work through databases and computers. So in today's marketing world, creating a database and leveraging social network marketing is critical, and it's a lot easier than the old school. So your first step, though, is you want to take a piece of paper and a pen or a tablet, or in your case, a book, a journal, and just start writing down everybody you know. Everybody you know in Nevada. Because I guarantee you, if they're not old enough to get a reverse mortgage, their grandmother is, or their mom and dad is, or they know someone that is old enough to get a reverse mortgage. So you want to create a list of people in what we call your warm market, or your sphere of influence if you know people in certain business positions. Jeanette, I'm picking on you. You have a wealth of that. You know, and you're kind of like the perfect example of leveraging this approach. Yeah. Jeanette was with the state, and she would train loan officers. She knows loan officers, their family, their kids, realtors, the same thing. She knows all those people.
Those words don't go together.
That's true.
Loan officer and train.
That's true. But today's an exception. So just do a data dump from your mind of all that. Then look for your Christmas card list. Then go back to your spreadsheet. And then the biggest chunk of work, which I'm working on right now as we speak, I'm working on this, and it takes a while. I'm converting my old list, which was regular physical addresses, and I'm looking them up electronically. LinkedIn, Facebook, people finders, whatever I can do, and I'm narrowing it down to about a 300 person list, which is people I know on a first name basis. I know more than that, but I've narrowed it down. About 300, say, hey Joe, hey Ron, how you doing? And so do that, narrow it down to there's a rule of the trivial many and the vital few that will help you in your business. So find your vital few, okay? Does that make sense? And then convert it electronically. We'll show you some tools how you can do that. And there's a book in here by Scott Gordon, amazing tool.
Is that the one you referred us to?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, no, there's another one.
There's another
this
one.
One's free because it's an online copy, and since it was free,
Okay.
I thought I'd copy it.
Okay.
Okay. So moving on with that, data dump, and I talked about letting them know what you do. Now, you can start this with just calling your friends up. Say, hey, Mike and Dee Dee, I'm doing reverse mortgages. Forget Ron, but hey, I'm doing reverse mortgages, okay?
Yeah.
And if you know anybody that might need a reverse mortgage, I would sure like an opportunity to talk with him about. I'm not licensed, I'm getting training, but Ron can be there with you. He's got all the answers. But if you know anybody, let me know, will you? And you want to stay in front of them. Now that just takes time. You can do 100 of those calls, which I encourage you to do to your top 100. Call them and let them know. Maybe even drop by a business card once you're licensed, okay?
Right.
And just let them know. But you can take 500 and send out one email, and you do that every other week. Hey, just to give you an example, we just closed someone on a reverse mortgage that was looking to retire. They couldn't because they lost money in the market, and now he's a greeter at Walmart, this is a true story, and would like so much to retire. Well, we were able to help him discover by using his equity in his home where he's able to retire, and he's enjoying retirement today. Hey, if you know anybody else like that might have a need, let me know. And you do that every other week, however you want to do it. What do you think is comfortable for your database? And you can use pictures of your people, and it's high tech, but it's also high touch if it's done right. Does that make sense?
I have a lot to learn on that part.
Yeah, well that book is amazing. It's a tutorial how to do that.
I need that.
Moving on to C, perfect your LinkedIn and Facebook business pages. You need to build one if you don't have one. And I'm perfecting mine because it needs help. But inside that book by Scott Gordon, which we'll go over in a little while, it explains how to do that. A tutorial on how to make an effective LinkedIn and Facebook business page. Okay? You want your personal business page, and then you want your you want your personal page, Facebook, and then you want your business Facebook. Okay? And then same thing, except the multiples are there. It's not only your friends. Someone will send a link on some information which I will give you, and send, hey, post this on your Facebook. You just have to cut and paste and post. And then someone will say, hey, that is interesting, and they'll send it to their friends. All of a sudden you'll start getting friend requests, or need some more information. Okay? So how powerful is that? Wow. And you know how much postage that costs?
I know, it's amazing.
Okay, so pretty cool. D, create a database list of SRES realtors. What is SRES? I know seniors is in there. What's that stand for, Paul? I don't know. It's not a quiz. I think it's senior real estate specialist. I'll go with that.
Okay.
Anyway, there are people that get a
We'll
designation as an SRE. Look, Steve, he's got the Google going.
No, I'm doing something else.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm listening to you though.
yeah he's the only male I know that can multitask. He's the only one. I can't. SRES, that means they've gone through classes to get a designation to know how to meet needs of seniors, because seniors' housing needs are different than a 30-year-old's housing needs. Okay? So you get a lot of experience in that. So there are people who spent money and time and blood, sweat, and tears to get that designation. They'd be a perfect one to create an alliance with and discussing reverse mortgages with their senior clients. Okay? There's a whole class just on that. But by getting that list, and as you become more familiar with the material and with the products, especially the reverse mortgage purchase product, these are people you're going to want to do the old meet and greet and call them up and say, hey, you know, I'm a reverse mortgage consultant. I'd like to introduce myself, just stop by. It won't take me any more than 5 minutes, drop up some information, and just meet them. And sometimes a 5-minute meeting turns into a half-hour meeting when they have someone that has a need. Okay? Now that's old school cold call. But if you develop that relationship and you get their email address, and then you make them part of your Facebook or your email campaign and let them know, you'll have a separate email campaign for realtors versus your friends. Does that make sense? Because the content's going to be more skewed toward real estate versus just, you know, warm fuzzy friendship. Okay. E, create a database list of elder law attorneys, financial advisors, insurance professionals that market long-term care, Social Security supplement insurance, those professionals that do that. Send them a series of 3 letters, which you already have prepared. You just like you did with the realtors, you call, propose the old meet and greet, and add to your sales call list. I'll explain that in a second. And establish a monthly sales call schedule, and then add them to that email drip campaign for them. So again, I mentioned earlier, Steve is the best relationship manager I've ever met in my life. That's true. He can. And he can do more over the phone than most people can do in person. But for me, I need all the tools I can get, my legs, my arms, everything to communicate. So I would encourage you to put certain people on what I call a milk run. And you go out once a week and you go visit 10 people. And, you know, and you put them on your, hey, I'm coming over today, you can be around? Yeah, I got something to share with you. You always have something to share with them. And then you come back with a flyer usually, or something, or an idea, or you send them an email. Did you see that email? Let's pull it up now. And then you go over that topic and you just anchor that in their mind, you hit and run, and then you go on to your next. And that's it, all you're doing is sharing information and creating building the relationship. Does that make sense? It doesn't have to be a lot of people, but certain people, for example, like that realtor that is dealing with 100 people in their database, they might want to take that on that Facebook or that email you send them, and they can send it on to them, right? So you want to leverage your marketing time. That's how you do it. Talk a little bit about each one of these. Elder law attorneys. You folks, do you know what an elder law attorney is? This guy's a prior attorney, so he knows something. You can't talk. Do you know what an elder law attorney is?
Is it for seniors?
Yeah, exactly.
I would think.
But situations like wills,
yeah,
discrimination. Steve, help me. Trusts. Okay. Senior-related legal issues. That's what they specialize in, and that's what they'll say. You know, I specialize for senior, trying to get approved for Medicare or whatever. They know how to work things through. They know how to work with insurance companies, go after them, all that stuff. But they specialize for seniors. That has been a really good source for me in the past. There's a couple of them here in Reno. You'd be surprised the amount of scenarios you get run by you in maybe a month. It might be 2 or 3. Maybe one or none of them work. But that would be a person you want to put on your milk run call list just to build that relationship. Financial advisors, real important. Now there's financial advisors and stockbrokers, and then there's financial advisors. Some of them are a hoity-toity, and they don't want to even talk with MA unless they have $250,000 in minimum to invest with them.
What was
And
that? Hoity-toity?
Hoity-toity, you know.
No, I know.
So I know those guys. Those guys will scoff at reverse mortgages. But then there's people that are out there for the masses, and they're actually doing a good job for anybody and everybody they can, and they're running themselves ragged, and they don't make as much money as the hoity-toity people. But you want to find out who those are. And it might be your financial advisor. It might be your grandma's financial advisor. It might be someone that you either know directly or know through someone else. Hey, who would be a good common sense financial advisor I could talk with? Okay? Real important to make them build a relationship with them. Insurance professionals with long-term care. Hey, listen to this. I don't know the statistic, but there's a pretty heavy, good chance at some point in time someone's going to need long-term care. As us, especially me, the baby boomers, we get older, there's a good likelihood we're going to need some long-term care. And guess what? That insurance is expensive. It's expensive. And there are insurance professionals that are dealing with seniors for that and selling that. And folks are sitting on a mountain of equity and said, man, I wish we could do that. I wish we had the money. That would be the wisest thing to do. Well, guess what? If you have a partner in reverse mortgages and you find the means to fund that with no out-of-pocket money monthly to afford that premium, is that a blessing to that senior that's going to need long-term care? Yes. So situations for synergy of interests like that, real important. Okay, moving on to F. You want to send an email to your database of referring partners. And these are people that, if you're already in business or have been in business in the real estate related or loan business before, and it could be, if you don't have that background, that's okay too. But if you already have a business background, relationships, you want to connect with those people. Example is mortgage bankers, mortgage brokers that you've dealt with before. Escrow officers like Lynn, we met Lynn today. Family, I want to let them know this. You don't have to tell them that you're changing to the Latter-day Saints. You just want to say you're doing reverse mortgage. Okay, just kidding. A little off topic there. Friends. Okay, let me talk about friends. Most people, especially your friends, they're friends because they're likable, right? And they consider you a friend because you're likable. So you call them on the phone and say, "Hey, friend, could you help me? Here's where I need your help. Could you share the word that I'm doing reverse mortgages? And if you hear anything, or spread it on Facebook, or if I send you something, can you help me out to get my business started?" You're not begging. You're asking a friend for a favor. And people are natural. I go with the idea that people are naturally nice. Now, you can't change my mind. I think people are naturally nice. Okay? And so if you ask for help, they're probably going to help you. And you put them on an evidence of success drip campaign. What do I mean by evidence of success? And what do I mean by drip campaign? That's an email that goes out monthly, weekly, every 2 weeks. And you just send it out to your database and you give them a scenario. You know, there was this couple we were dealing with and they were this close to foreclosure because the husband was working and Social Security wasn't doing it, and he got hurt. And while they're waiting on the lawsuit to settle, nothing's happened, and they're about to get kicked out, and they're hoping it's going to settle. But we were able to show them through the use of a reverse mortgage, they can take their equity and to supplement their income, and now we pull them out of foreclosure. They're okay. Oh, by the way, we got them a new car that's more reliable, so they can go to their medical appointments. That's a true story. It's one of mine. And so, and just want to share that with you. If you know anybody that has a situation like this or in need of some advice on reverse mortgage, I would feel honored if you refer me. And you just send that out, okay? I already mentioned G, ask for help. For those of us who have been in business for a while, and I want to pick on you, Paul, you know we have our favorite clients of the past. We have our most horrible clients, but a cherished few, are just like, man, I enjoyed this. We went through like war together, but we came out of it as friends. And those would be the people, in addition to your regular friendships, especially your past clients that know you, split a gut for them, bleed for them, what you're doing, and that you ask for their help. They might be 45 years old. That's okay. Their mom may need help. So you call them on the phone and say, hey, I need your help. Let's talk about banks. First of all, when we were talking about Bruce, was that his name? Bruce Lopez?
Yes.
Bruce
Ramirez.
I'm just kidding. He had said they were doing 43 transactions a month with his team that he had built up. Joe Musser, who you've met, I'm still after him to try to come on board, would do 43 transactions a year himself. And when you look at those multiples on pay, those are one of those guys, I'm telling you, that has no life, but makes a lot of money. So the reason I'm bringing that up and relating that to banks is that what Joe cut his teeth on in the reverse mortgage business is he and myself and Julie Hill, one of our people in Las Vegas we're bringing on board, was part of the Wells Fargo system. Whether you like Wells Fargo or not, reverse mortgages were a good source for solving a lot of problems for senior depositors with Wells Fargo branches. So you service a few branches. We do the milk run. Hey, if you have a depositor that needs help, or they're always constantly tapping their line of credit, or they have a overdraft consistently, that's a sign that maybe there's an issue. And if you would at least let them know that, hey, maybe a reverse mortgage, it might be a solution, don't know, but you can talk to this person. Now, with the bank system, that was easy because the tellers and the branch manager and the professional bankers, personal bankers, had part of their quota figured on discussing loans or reverse mortgages or whatever it is. So they were forced to make that connection. But we became very, very good at dealing with bankers. And here's why. At that time, Bank of America was doing reverse mortgages, MetLife was doing reverse mortgages, brokers were doing reverse mortgages, other banks were doing reverse mortgages, and Wells Fargo was the king of reverse mortgage lenders in the country. They did more than anybody else, more than AAG by far. So we learned as Wells Fargo reverse mortgage consultants and how to discuss with tellers and with branch managers the importance of keeping their assets in the bank. Because if you have someone who says, I have a problem, I don't know what to do, and they go to, you're with Wells Fargo Bank, and they go to Bank of America and get a reverse mortgage, it is their goal to take all their other assets and move them over, right?
Yeah.
So as in partnering with a branch manager or a bank, but a branch, you can be an asset preservation person to keep their deposit levels steady, because you are not a banker. You're not off to sell any other bank products to them, and they don't carry reverse mortgages, so they're in a position to lose that depositor's business for a reverse mortgage to either a broker that has a relationship with the bank or another bank. And it could be sizable. So a senior might get $200,000 cash, boom, that needs to go somewhere to get deposited somewhere. So that's an asset enhancement to the bottom line for that branch, because it's all about deposits on hand, right? It's all about deposits on hand for their reports. And when they lose, whoa, look at that. And they lose $200,000, that gets reported. So you're there as an unpaid
Interesting.
partner to help them preserve their assets, maybe even enhance them, because they don't carry that product, and that's bad for them. And here's why. Okay? So bankers, if you develop a relationship with bankers, real critical. And you'll have your favorites. And they're part of your milk run. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is about ready to end.
Okay. Okay. Welcome back. We had a wonderful lunch. Hope you enjoyed yours. And this is just taking a pause just to talk a little bit more about building the pillars of your business. We talked about realtors, SRES. That's a good source for a good pillar of your business, of cash flow for your business. Friends, don't ever underestimate, especially the social networking days, Facebook, LinkedIn, how important just friendships can be in asking them for help. Sphere of influence, SOIs, be it friends or business associates that are in a position to refer you for your product. That's what a sphere of influence is. Bank managers, insurance professionals, financial planners and the like. Just sphere of influence could be someone in government, someone that has a lot of contact with different people, and so certainly that would be someone you want to target to let them know what you're doing, and they can maybe help introduce you some potential clients. We talked about financial, and I separated out banks from financial. Financial would be more insurance, more stockbrokers, and what have you. But banks, I can't overestimate the importance of developing good relationship with bankers. There's a class just on that we probably need to do. But that can be a very, very good source. Currently, Wells Fargo, who was number one, does not, number one in reverse mortgages, does not have a reverse mortgage division. They don't offer them. Bank of America does not offer them. U.S. Bank does not offer them. Who's next in line for huge banks? Chase does not offer them. So they're at risk with their bottom line asset balance of losing some of that business. They don't know that, but you can help educate them how you can maybe be a source to plug that gap for them. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. Okay, in your book, and you don't have to rifle for it if you don't want, just if you just want to be in the moment, that's fine, because we're just kind of discussing things. But in your book, there's a couple of things we're going to be going over. One form says the emotional versus transactional sale. Another one is reverse mortgage consultative selling. And it moves on to probing to uncover the need. And then there's one talking about the mastering of the art of reverse mortgage conversation. This is dealing with sales technique, which is really important. It's not kind of a warm and fuzzy thing. It's when you get out there in the field and you're across the kitchen table, these types of skills that you'll develop as you move through your career are critical, and being skewing the percentage of being more successful at signing a reverse mortgage rather than just having a great visit for an hour and leaving empty-handed. So these skills can make that kind of difference. So I just want to start out with the form is talking about the emotional versus transactional sale. And I'm just going to read from it because that's easier. There's a quote from one of my favorite sales trainers of all time. He was, his mentor was Norman Vincent Peale, who was, if you know anything about Norman Vincent Peale, it's the power of positive thinking. And which a salesperson really needs to try to do whenever possible and as often as possible. And Zig Ziglar came up with this saying is, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that is so true in the environment, in the arena of reverse mortgage sales. We just had a moment here about a connection about a senior that Paul knew in the past, and there was actually some tears and just remembering the relationship they built. And that's the kind of relationship you'll find you're going to have with some of your senior clients, because you're going to develop that kind of relationship, that kind of friendship, and that kind of reliance on you as a friend and you with them. But again, if people don't care how much you really know until they know how much you care, that really speaks true for a senior client. And I'm going to read this little bit that I took off the particular piece that I read recently. It says, recently a friend who works in the software industry asked me that what I look for when hiring salespeople. And again, this person is in the software sales industry. And I told her I look for people that are curious to see what's under the surface. People who want to get beyond the tip of the iceberg. The senior housing industry is vastly different from selling software. Her business, meaning software sales, is need-based and transactional, while mine, like reverse mortgages, is emotional and not always needs-based. And even when it is, the customer is often in denial. This is very, very true. I don't know how many times I've sat with a husband and a wife before they don't know that much about reverse mortgages, and one gets it. It's usually the wife. She gets it. And the husband is dragging his feet saying, I don't know. First of all, I don't like the word mortgage since I just got rid of one, and I don't know. It's old school. So there's a sense of denial sometimes with the spouse, sometimes with the kids. Hey, wait a minute. You have your home free and clear. That's our inheritance. I don't really know how I feel about that. So there's a sense of denial sometimes with that. And reading on, it says, this led to a discussion about the many different types of sales agreements that take place in the world and how important it is to understand the psychology behind the role of the sales professional in order to give the greatest chance of success. So here's the topic. It's emotional versus transactional. I'm going to give an example. Let's say we're sitting across the table on a reverse mortgage scenario and we uncover a need. What is the need? Well, if we only had $700 extra cash flow, that would make a world of difference for us. Okay? 700 bucks. Now the untrained reverse mortgage consultant that is not fully trained in emotional versus transactional sales, great, I have a solution for you. Not only can I give you 700, I give you 800. Well, actually, I can give you 1,000. You ready to sign? Probably will. Sign meets the need. But the trained reverse mortgage consultant would be asking questions like, why 700? Well, because that way my husband would be able to quit his part-time job at Walmart. We wouldn't have to do that anymore, and that would be amazing. Well, then the other question from the reverse mortgage consultant would be, if he doesn't have to work at Walmart anymore, how would that change your life? Well, we'd be able to visit the grandkids much more often and have more time to enjoy the things we like square dancing. How, being able to square dance, tell me a little bit about square dancing. Well, and then they go off on a tangent for a while, and you got to kind of pull them in after a while. But then he said, so if I was able to find the $700 through the use of a reverse mortgage to accomplish that, where your husband can retire, and you were able to, that would allow you to make sure I understand this. You would allow you to visit the grandkids more. You have more freedom to do things like square dancing, and that would be a huge impact on your quality of life. Is that correct? Yes. I think we can help you square dance more. Here's how. Now, do you see the difference?
It's called listening.
Right. Yeah, so you're painting a scene for them that they've already given you all the elements, all the paints, all the colors, and all you've done is just lined it the way they want it. So you have them visualize what they're looking to do. So it's not just a transaction. The transaction is critical. But how is the transaction going to impact their lives? That's critical in becoming an effective consultative salesperson. I don't care what you're selling, but maybe even more so with reverse mortgages. Because they, and usually it's the wife, they say, he gets it. John, he gets it. Okay, you're right, he does get it. Now that he's voiced, I was dragging my feet, but I know he gets it, or she gets it. So I feel much more comfortable with this. Now, that approach can be done across the coffee table with them in their own home. Can AAG, using a call line, have that approach? No. Probably sometimes, but more often not. What do you need? We'll fill the need. This will make you shine in their eyes. This will create a relationship you will never forget. This will create much more referrals that will help you build your business. Okay?
And that's where we have the advantage.
Exactly. Exactly. A huge advantage for us.
It's interesting because I don't even call it sales to me.
Yeah.
Because you're doing what they're asking.
Exactly.
And what they need.
That's the difference between consultative sales and transactional sales. Emotional consulting. Okay. So and we're going to get to that in a moment. Probing for the need. Okay. So does that help? Okay. A little bit different frame of reference. Okay. Now there's this one that says reverse mortgage consultative selling, probing to uncover the need. Let's start with reverse mortgage consultative selling. In consultative selling, you position yourself as a consultant, an expert, an advisor, a helper, and teacher in the sales situation. Above all, you position yourself as a problem solver. You ask good questions and listen attentively. I can't overemphasize the importance of listening. Too many people, to too many sales professionals talk. What you want to do is to gain knowledge of how you can ask pointed questions and let them do most of the talking. And it's basically human psychology. When you create, and Steve knows this, when you create a relationship where they're doing most of the talking, and you may have only said a few words, a few things, they're going to think you're just the nicest person, and not because you gave them all the time to talk about themselves. It's just that if someone will listen to you, they think you're amazing. Especially if you're in a sales situation. So you're not running over them with facts and figures and everything. You're not steamrolling them in the beginning. Let me show you how much I know. No, you want them to share what they feel, what their fears are, what their reluctance is, what their situation is, and then take that in. Does that make sense? And then based on your training, you can customize the solution based on that need. All right? Bear with me. As a salesperson who is a problem solver, you must begin the sales process by asking questions about your prospects' needs, desires, goals, etc. Seek to understand their motivation for considering a reverse mortgage, monthly income, eliminate mortgage debt, eliminate other debt, credit card debt, for example, early retirement, legacy gift to family, a church association, travel, peace of mind. Just say, hey, we've got a line of credit for $200,000. I don't care if ISIS comes on our doorstep tomorrow. I got some money. You know, peace of mind. Okay, which is huge for a senior. Peace of mind. Home improvements, etc. So you basically put yourself in their position, and then by listening to them, by asking the right questions and letting them share with you, you're more personally involved in helping them achieve their financial goals because they're telling you what they want. Most people don't listen. They say, what's the need? Boom, let's go. Close. No, that's not what you do. The greater the clarity in which a salesperson in consultative selling can answer questions about the product, the easier it is for the prospect, the individual, to buy from you. The fuzzier they are in answering these questions, meaning the salesperson, the harder it is for the customer to make a decision. So you got to know your stuff. There's no way around that, or you got to have a link to someone that does know the stuff so you can get some answers. But what's critical that you know is paramount that you know more about them and their fears and their desires and their reluctance and their dreams than it is anything about reverse mortgages. Does that make sense? Does that help? Okay. And the way you do that is asking probing questions. And this is Sales 101 for a lot of you, especially a lot of you. But all sales, professional sales, consultative sales, and that's what we do, is you're just asking pointed questions to get them to share with you what they want. They're just going to tell you. So if you can create the atmosphere, but they will let go what they have in their heart, and you take it in, you'll be much more able to help them and meet the need specific to not only the financial need, but the emotion attached with that. So you find out needs by probing to uncover the need, and I'll just read this. In the world of sales, probing continues to be one of the key selling skills. The purpose of the selling process is to make it easier for the customer to perceive what is the best buying decision. In consultative sales, that's what we do, you do not sell them anything. Rather, you assist the customer in their buying decision. It's a big difference.
Big difference.
Okay? Primarily, probing is the skill by which the salesperson gathers information and finds out the customer's level of need. Mixed in with the idea of need are the customer's concerns, their hopes, their fears, their dreams, their doubts. And secondarily, probing question asking can be used to obtain the customer's commitment. There are basically two kinds of probes, closed and open. Now this is a very, very shortcut about sales, but I just want to give you a little bit of sales background, and this is something you develop. There's a book I'm going to refer you to shortly that you're going to make it, I don't have it with me, but you want to make that required reading for you. And it's, we'll discuss why in just a moment. But there's two types of probes. There's a closed probe, closed question, and then there's open probes, okay? So for the closed probe, let me give you an example. You're limiting the response. You're closing it down. You're controlling the situation to the question. The closed probe is this your first time to look into getting a reverse mortgage? Yes or no? Okay? It's not like share with me why. No. Is this your first time? Yes. Did you see our advertisement? Yes. Are you new to our city? Yes. No. Do you have an existing mortgage on your home now? Yes. How much? Those are closed probes. Is your spouse applying with you on the loan? Yes or no? And it's used to obtain a yes or no, which we just discovered, in order to confirm the customer's need or obtain agreement. Are you ready to move forward today? Maybe. Whatever the response, yes or no. All right. So if you're trying to, you can also use a closed probe to get a commitment. Examples would be, so what you're looking for is to increase your monthly income, right? Right. Let's see if I have this right. You want a lump sum of your equity in order to pay off some credit card debt, but you want the remainder of the proceeds to help with increasing your household income. Is that right? Yes or no? Those are examples. So enough of that for the closed probes. But the most important is, and if someone can find me it, I don't know where it's at, open probes. This is what I'm looking for. Stevie, help me.
What?
I had it, it was the next page.
Oh, yeah. It was. Do you have it?
Yeah.
I do.
Can I borrow yours?
Here,
What, the open probe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in its
There's
space.
some, oh, here it is. No, no, it's not.
here you go.
Thank you, sir. Well, I found it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay, open probes. Open probes are meant to encourage the customer to talk freely, as shown in the following examples. Mind telling me why you're considering a reverse mortgage? I'd appreciate knowing why you feel that way. I don't like reverse mortgages. My wife made me sit through this. I understand. I'd appreciate you sharing with me why you feel that way. I had a bad experience with a loan officer before. Here's an open probe. How did that happen? Or what happened? Mind if I ask what happened with your retirement account? I lost my, we're limited on retirement account. We used to have $1 million. It's gone. And the question would be, mind if I ask what happened with your retirement account? And it helps you to get some information of what the need might be. And in addition to that, the emotion associated with trying that loss and trying to find an option to meet the need. Another open probe example. What kind of mortgage did the mortgage broker sell you? And they're going to have a response. Everything went wrong. What went wrong? So you wanted them to, you give them a license to share their story, okay? And then it started going downhill. When did you first notice that? See? So you want to gear toward some professional sales courses, which I've been through, you can take. They'll say, you need to ask 5 of these, 4 of these. No. It's whatever the need is, and we're all adults. You'll read the emotion, you look at the eyes, and you can never ask too many. More often than not, you can never ask too many open probes if you're trying to gain a relationship and an understanding what they're going through. Okay. Now let me make this statement. It's at the bottom of the page. There does seem to be universal agreement to one point, because some people, some sales training gurus will say, what time is it?
I'm not looking at my watch.
Well, what time is it?
I don't know.
It's 12:30.
12:30.
Oh, good, we're good. Thanks, Steve. There does seem to be one universal agreement to one point. So some schools of thought on sales training is that you just, it's like a formula. You ask, like I said, four open probes, four closed probes, 2 open probes, and then you do 1 open probe as a commitment, closed probe as a commitment, and you close. I don't subscribe to that. It's whatever works, and it says closed probes though are limiting. That's true. If you want to control the situation, you'll find some seniors, this is true, will just want to just talk, and you're enjoying it to the point where your eyes start glazing over, and you just not need to control it, and you need to get a yes or no. So, are you ready to move forward on? Yes. Okay. But closed probes are limiting. Open probes are not. Closed probes get customers to tell what the salesperson wants to hear. Open probes allow customers to tell the consultant what they want the consultant to know and about how they feel. Right? Right. So, the $700 a month, extremely important on the transactional side. But why him not having the job at Walmart anymore, how that will enhance their lives, and hearing a little bit about that, much more important. Okay. Okay. Now there's some pages in here, several of them, that start with this little thing. It says Spotlight: Mastering the Art of the Reverse Conversation. Somewhere in there, and it starts to look, people looks like this. Yeah. All right. And this is talking about the elevator pitch. Anybody know what an elevator pitch is? Have you ever heard that term before? Elevator pitch. Okay. And Jeanette, you shared with me the other day. I can't remember who it was, but it came to mind when I was preparing this. And it was, you started telling them about reverse mortgages or something. And it was not real comfortable because it was not a great flow. I mean, share with them what you could, but it's kind of complex. You know,
It is complex.
Yeah, it's kind of complex to explain. Well, what do you do? I'm a reverse mortgage consultant. What is that? And what's a reverse? I mean, you know, I don't know. Come to the class with me. You know, that's what you want to do. Just come to class. And I'll send you some links to the training. You know, you just want to well, that's kind of complex. So what an elevator pitch is, if you were to go into an elevator, opens up, hop on, and someone asks that question, hi, I'm James, I work in sales. What do? You need to have a prepared script that lasts about 30 seconds, in my opinion, of what you do and why it's important and it's memorable for them to take away. And what this does is gives an example of a reverse mortgage consultant and her story about when she first started and how difficult that was. And she came up with a script, if you will. So in sales, it's not always just memory. It's more dealing with the need and the emotional side of the transaction. But this one, you kind of want to script out in your mind, so it's efficient. When I was doing training in Boston with Wells Fargo, when we went through this, we had to actually develop our own elevator pitch. I don't even remember what mine was back then, but that's before I knew too much about it. But that's how critical it was. Everybody had to go through that. And it could be, we found some of them were just as simple as, I'm able to help seniors tap the equity in their homes so they can have a much more rewarding retirement experience. That's it. Okay? That's all I do. I help seniors enjoy their retirement much more. I make the golden years that much more golden. Or it can be more complex like this. So I'm going to read you hers. Maybe. Oh, here's what I came up with. Let me read a little bit before that. I crafted my reverse mortgage elevator pitch to introduce the product so that a discussion of its benefits could follow. In other words, all you're doing is it's a mental bulletin board. And then they go, wow, that's interesting. I need to know more. That's what an elevator pitch is set up to do. To begin with, I established 3 fundamentals when she was trying to go through her pitch. 1, I assumed that my audience would have little or no understanding of the product or its application. Zip, none. 2, my description needed to be simple, clear, easily understood, and reassuring to a skeptical audience. And 3, my pitch needed to resonate with senior homeowners as well as with professionals in order to stimulate additional discussion and questions. So here's what she came up with. All right. Here's what I came up with, is what she says. Reverse mortgages have been around for decades. And this is a misnomer. It says in the 90s, it's really the 80s. In the 90s, Congress was concerned about the financial well-being of retirees and the future of Social Security. I found that America's seniors owned trillions of dollars in home equity. In a way, if a way were developed that allowed seniors to safely and securely tap into a portion of that equity to receive funds of additional income during retirement, millions of people could benefit. As a result, the government sponsored reverse mortgages, and it was created and signed into law by President Reagan. The reverse mortgage is simply a mortgage, just a regular mortgage, on the borrower's principal residence. Under the FHA program, 3 things determine how much money is available. The age of the borrower, it must be at least 62 years of age. The value of the home, the greater the value, the more funds are available. And the interest rate at the time of the loan. These factors are fed into a computer, and HUD's formula spits out a number. That number is the amount the borrower could get at that age, at that interest rate, and at that home value. After deducting the fees and costs of the loan, the borrower can receive cash, a line of credit, or a monthly income check that is guaranteed to come tax-free for the rest of their life, as long as they continue to live in the home. Unlike a regular mortgage, there's no requirements to make mortgage payments. The loan is eventually repaid when the home is sold after the borrower permanently moves or dies. I'd say pass away. The amount that is repaid the amount that is repaid is the amount that the borrower receives in cash and payments, the origination fees and costs that were financed in the loan, and the accrued interest and mortgage insurance premium. The remaining equity is the borrower. Yep. The remaining equity the remaining equity is the borrower's or their heirs to keep. And if the sale of the house is not enough to pay off the mortgage, HUD eats the loss. This can be okay. Then she goes on to say this can be delivered in 2 minutes or less. So in 2 minutes, she was able to cover all of the aspects of a 30-minute presentation, boom, like that. My opinion, it's a bit much. But if someone was really anal retentive, and some of us are, that would be a good thing to master. Like that. Okay? My approach is more like, I just help seniors enjoy their lives more by having more security in their retirement years. Well, that's interesting. How do you do that? Well, let's talk. You got time? So you just got to have something done rather than it involves a set aside. I know that, and it's something having to do with a LIBOR, and it's just practice something. Have something ready, okay? Does that make sense? We're going to take a little break now to do whatever we need to do.
Let me put it.
I feel a little like, this is for the baby boomers here in the room, a little like Romper Room. Remember Romper Room when we were kids? You don't.
I love it.
Yeah, and then at the end you would have this like a hole.
Yes.
And I see Joey,
Yeah.
and I see Lisa, and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
That's what it reminds me of. I see Jackson. Anyway, I hope you're enjoying this. Okay, a couple other things on cash streams. this is out of sequence, but I wanted to make sure I hit it. Not only can we pay you for due reverse mortgages, but since we are a full service mortgage brokerage, we also do FHA, VA, USDA, conventional, jumbo loans, all that stuff. We do that. I would encourage you, because the forward mortgage world is painful lately. It's just painful. I wish there was a better way to say it. It just is. So reverse mortgages are not nearly as painful. So if you're new to the business, I would encourage you we will make available to you a 20% referral fee. Bosses don't know this, but they'll back me up. So if you refer a transaction, because you're duly licensed, okay, and just refer it over.
Oh, you mean a forward mortgage?
Yeah,
to
forward
somebody
mortgage,
else?
right. Yeah. And then they'll handle it, and you'll get a 20% referral fee. Now, is that substantial? Could be, because if you have a $200,000 loan, 2.5 points, $5,000, so 20% is $1,000 for a referral. And someone very good,
We have to check the law on that first.
or they can co-originate it.
They do that. I
But
don't know
it
about
can,
the referral.
yeah,
As long
see what I'm saying, though?
As long as all parties are
yeah,
licensed.
as long as all parties are licensed. It's not, you gotta be licensed before, let me,
Yeah.
you gotta be licensed, okay? And there's gotta be a name on the 1003, a signature.
And
Yes.
just remember, after you get licensed, you also have the joy of doing, what is it, Paul? 8, 10 hours a year?
10
Continuing
hours,
education?
yeah, 10 or 11, yeah.
You're a buzzkill, but.
And it's
Which is
Debbie
nothing.
Downer.
Which is nothing.
Anyway, so $1,000, and if you do that, 10 times a year, because what's gonna happen is that someone's gonna go, yeah, I want this reverse mortgage. I wish you could help my daughter. She's looking to refinance right now. Too bad you don't do those. Hey, our company does. And I can put you in contact with Steve or Paul or Ron or whoever, and we can get that done. Does that make sense? So an extra cash flow. I haven't worked this out. And the
Or you
bosses
can
don't-
do them yourself,
Yeah, exactly.
if you want to.
But it's like going to the dentist. So I would encourage you to refer it out, but you do whatever you want, because you're all grown-ups. And you can learn that side of the business too if you want.
The pain is nearly not as hard for the loan officer as it is for the processor.
That's true. That's true.
That's like finding out.
And here's another option we're working out as we grow. Not yet, but as we grow, there's going to be more trainees come on. And I cannot possibly mentor all the trainees. If you take a trainee on your wing, there'll be an override over your mentoring them through the process. Okay? What that's going to be, to be determined. But as you can see, we're not stingy on sharing. Okay? So it'll be enough to turn your head a bit. So there's other cash flow opportunities through our company. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. So moving on. I like this one better. Remember we talked about the elevator pitch and how critical that can be. I know I'm just throwing this stuff at you, but you have all this in the book. What you want to do is reflect and make notes and dig into it, okay? But that's critical. And it could be again, the elevator pitch could be as simple as, I help seniors make their golden years even that much more golden. And people go, oh, or they go, what do you mean by that? We're hoping it's going to be, what do you mean by that? Now this one, I laughed at. I literally laughed when I was in Boston doing training with Wells Fargo. And this guy from the Bronx, real, like Bronx people are, real shy and demure. No, he just really boisterous. He comes in wearing this badge, and you can pass this around. Comes in wearing a badge, big badge actually. Ask me about reverse mortgages. And I'm thinking, man, there's no way I would wear that. That'd be just, it's not me. So we go through the training. I think that's clever. Yeah.
It's in the book, I saw.
Yeah. I think that's clever, but that's not me.
It's in the back.
So 6 months later, I keep tabs with this guy, and we talk. And as a result of that badge, he signed 10 deals. 10
Really?
deals. Of course, he had the elevator pitch down, so when they ask him, but rather than waiting for the elevator, he'd go to the store and he'd wear it. Ask me about reverse mortgages. He'd go pay a bill or whatever he's doing. Doesn't matter what it is. Go to the DMV, sit down, ask me about reverse mortgages. So he was a walking bulletin board, billboard, just to say, hey, your chances now, man, come get me. and he made it work. So I made just enough time in this presentation to let you know almost anything works, but that one works. It may not be you, but if you're a little bashful, some people, are you go make a bank deposit, be a perfect time to wear that badge. Ask me about reverse mortgages, and the teller, what's reverse mortgages? Is your branch manager here? Or is one of your bankers available? Boom. Right? All right. What I'm going to do, if you wouldn't mind shutting this off for a moment, I'm going to get on the internet and we're going to look at a couple.
So what are
Okay.
you in right there?
What's that?
What are you in? I mean, what, is this yours personally?
No, this is a, what this is a reverse mortgage calculator.
Oh.
And when we were talking with Bruce Garcia on the phone,
You're
he
good.
had mentioned that you need to get a couple of things down when you're doing the scenario, and he says you really need to know how to work the comparison page. You may or may not remember that. This is going to show you by putting in just a few things like age, date of birth, estimated value of the property, the address of the property, including the zip code, so it can determine the location of the property. Just basic information. The calculator will populate for you a number of options. You can choose fixed rates, adjustable, and if you remember, he was talking, don't show 6 examples, show 3. Well, you'd want to show like 1 fixed rate, 1 monthly adjustable, 1 annual adjustable. That would be it. And this shows more than that, but I'm trying to give you an example. When we put that little bit of data in, what pops out on the other side. It's pretty impressive. I think it is. So this is one I put together before coming to this seminar. And here we go. When preparing, I put it for John James Smith and Jane Jennifer Smith. And what we have here for the client is a complimentary quote, summary, reverse mortgage summary, reverse mortgage benefit comparison, and that's what Bruce was referring to. Understanding the reverse mortgage comparison, so it explains in layman's terms what all that means, but you certainly want to explain it to them rather than just let them read it. Preparing for your HUD counseling, HUD approved counseling agencies that they can pull from, frequently asked questions, total annual loan cost rate. On regular lending, they have an APR, annual percentage rate. Well, it's different for reverse mortgages. It's an annual loan cost rate. Okay. Worksheet of estimated closing costs, Federal Truth in Lending, and a pre-qualification letter if needed. All that comes out by just putting a few things into the calculator. Who it was prepared by, information as such. Bear with me, trying not to give you motion sickness.
Doesn't this also generate that number that they use to, when they go to counseling,
Yes, and you're going to see that.
it's
You're
a
gonna see
follow,
that.
yeah, it's a tracking
Yeah,
number.
I'm going to show you that. So there's assumptions that were made out of the couple. The youngest homeowner was 78 years old, and if it's a borrower and a co-borrower, the youngest of the two is what all the numbers are based on. So $400,000 home, 78 is the youngest. Loan type is a annual LIBOR with a margin of 2.625, which is pretty good index margin according to Joe. They use more like 3% margin, and we'll get into all this later. But that's pretty respectable.
Mhm.
So what is that, about 65%?
And I don't know where we're going to find it in this moment. So anyway,
About 65%.
it gives you a graph for the client to show, where is that?
So is
Well,
it,
closing costs, it shows of the percentage of the value of the home, what the closing costs are. It's 2.8%. Total line of credit in this case was what they wanted. 61.2.
Okay, that's close.
You're very close. And then they still have retained equity in the place for 36%. So it gives them a graphic illustration, which helps some folks.
That's good.
And then it gives a comparison sheet. This is the infamous comparison sheet they were referring to. When you do the calculator, rather than go through a live example, because I know we have some demands on time, I just prepare this ahead of time, and you put it in the primary. After you talk with them and uncover their needs and what they're needing, there's a radial click you do to make that the first one in the comparison. Okay. So in this case, the first one was this one, the HECM annual LIBOR. Okay. So initial index rate at the time for the LIBOR is 1.317, margin is 2.625. So the initial interest rate is 3.942. The annual MI in this example is 1.25%. Rate caps for the life of the loans is 8.942. Expected interest rate, that's a formula that you use to determine all this. So I'm not going to dwell too much on the expected interest rate. That's part of your on-demand training. But going down to the numbers, estimate value of the home, 400,000. Home value limit, because it's a HECM, HUD limit is 625,500. Principal limit, the formula ends up working out to be $256,000. The origination fee ends up being $6,000. Mortgage insurance upfront is $2,000. Then other closing costs, a total closing cost of $11,335. Okay. And so it gives you all that right up front. There's no little smoke and mirrors. Okay.
I'm kind of surprised the mortgage insurance on this example is only $2,000.
Yeah, it just depends on how much of the percentage of the maximum available that you use shapes that. Net principal limit, again, $244,665. What is the net principal limit? That's our loan amount. In this case, these folks wanted a line of credit, so $244,665 is a line of credit. There's a limit how much you can get the first year. And what HUD did is that they determined that most folks max it out and they didn't have enough money after the first year, so they kept a little bit of the candy away from the kids and said, you can have this season, the next Halloween you'll have the rest of the bag. And that's a bad analogy, but it's true. That's kind of what they did. So, and there's good reasons behind that. History has proven that out with the program. So after that, though, they got the rest of it available. So, does that make sense? Okay. There's some things I'm not going to go over with you. Total mandatory obligations. Blah, blah, blah. It was a home that was free and clear.
So they held back $11,335
Right.
for what, taxes and insurance?
No. I'm not going to get stuck on that right now, but I'll explain it to you afterward. But bear with me. And then, so we give, like, in this case, it was 6 examples. He said don't do that. But there's fixed rates as well. So a lot of information, right, for just putting a few things in. And this, all the disclaimers you would need. Understanding your comparison, what did all these terms mean. Sorry guys, I'm just going to try to get to the important part. It explains LISA, or life expectancy set aside. It explains that.
Lisa, life expectancy set aside.
Sorry guys.
There's a lot of acronyms.
Lot of disclaimers, a lot of stuff. I'm trying to get to the important part. It also gives a list of approved, this is not an exhaustive list, but approved agencies in Nevada. So
Now, those are both in Las Vegas, so.
we do have local as well.
Okay.
We
Can
can give
they
them
do it
additional,
online?
we can give them additional sources, but in your disclosure, there's certain disclosures and disclaimer laws and reverse mortgages. You got to give a certain amount, and this meets that requirement. And it gives more, see, national,
Can they do this on the training online?
absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, I don't think well, I've had one client that's done it in person. Money Management International is the one I usually suggest. You can't steer them to one, but I usually make a firm suggestion that they've done a great job for most of my clients over the years. That's your choice.
And what's the cost?
$125. Sometimes, lately not as much, sometimes there's a grant that these different agencies get that will pay for the cost of the senior. They have to provide evidence of income requirements to meet that need for the grant. Sometimes it's free. My old adage though is if they're interested, they're going to have some skin in the game, $125
Yeah.
skin in the game. For a major financial change, positive change in lives. It's not too much damage.
They don't have to pay for the appraisal up front?
They do. But before we got a ticket to help them, they need to have the counseling. So they're not even a client until they get counseling. And I'll talk a little bit about that before we break. Anyway, it talks about frequently asked questions. For example, do only poor people need reverse mortgage loans? The
Yes.
perception of the reverse mortgage loan as an assist for the poor borrower is changing. Many affluent senior borrowers with multi-million-dollar homes and healthy retirement assets are using reverse mortgage loans as part of their financial and estate planning. That's very true. Case in point, I did a loan for a multi-millionaire, or at least his business was a multi-million-dollar business. He owned a PVC pipe company in Southern California, and his sons were running it for him, but he was still involved. He lived over there, Genoa, a little further south of Genoa, those foothills. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And he got a $500,000 jumbo reverse mortgage at the time when they had them back then. And he had plenty of income coming in, but what he ended up doing, he was doing a buyout of the business. His sons were buying him out, and he also did some estate planning with some insurance, life insurance, to set that up. And he got all this money. It was a lot of money, like $300,000 at the time, something like that, to arrange the buyout and also put life insurance for him and his wife, and set up the estate pretty well. He never had to make a payment, one on it. Pretty important financial planning
That makes
tool
sense.
for the right person.
Yeah.
So, and I'm almost done with this.
Yeah, it is.
So there's a lot to learn, but it's fun to find out all the different things that a reverse mortgage can really do for someone. And then this is a Tony. Remember I said there's an APR for forward mortgagers, and then there's a total TALC, total annual loan cost rate. And here it is. See, assumed annual appreciation, 4%, 8%, 2-year loan term, 5-year loan term, 10-year loan term, 14-year loan term. What this is showing a consumer is that a reverse mortgage is a long-term solution for a long-term need. If you only get a reverse mortgage and keep it for 2 years, you can see when you amortize that out for that short period of time, including the cost to get the loan, pretty expensive. But if you hold on to it like it's intended to be held on to, it's pretty reasonable. Okay, this is the one. Okay, the assumption 78 years old, mandatory obligations, which closing costs. First year draw limit 142, finance closing cost 11,235. And this is making the assumption that someone gets it in their mid-60s, Jeanette, and they're going to hold on to it when they really need it, but they want to get this part out of the way for peace of mind. Okay.
Okay.
So you can see the balance only grows slightly. Why? There's not a lot there, not a lot of interest. But the balance does grow because you're not making a payment. And look at the credit line though. You start out with 244,665, and by the end of 5 years, look. That's kind of impressive, isn't it? In 5 years? Right? And then look at the net equity. After the loan here, the 5 years though from now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, look. So it makes a point that a line of credit can grow, and that not all of your interest, even when you have a loan, not all you're not in a negative position immediately. First of all, they're not going to give you 100% loan to value.
Right.
It's got a relatively low loan to value, and even with the interest on the interest on the interest, it's still with the appreciation on the property being meager at 4%. That's what this is reflecting. You're usually outpacing it. Now, 8 years ago, we found out different, right? So that's not a guarantee, or 9 years or whatever it was. But it's something that is really important that the consumer knows, especially the kids need to know this.
So the interest for what, the first year is 458?
Well, yeah, because it's only like
That's all?
3 point something percent on 11,000 or whatever, right? And if it was 111,000, different. Yeah. But this comes out in every proposal you have. You can go over it. And this is, I always call this the heirs love me form, because that misnomer that the heirs are left out in the cold is not true, and that this helps to demonstrate that. Okay. And we can work any of these for any of your prospects for you until you get more familiar with it. And it has the closing costs all broken down. And what I wanted to show you was this. See this? This is the correspondent fee that the company pays us for doing the loan. Not the client, the company pays us. And here is the origination fee. Broker gets both of these. So in this example, we're like, what is that, Steve?
29,750.
Yeah, pretty close to 40,000.
Oh, wait.
30,000.
Thank you, 30,000. Jeez, where's my calculator?
20
And
something, right? Almost.
but with the AAG, that gets bumped up $7,000 in the same deal. We get more income for the company.
That much more?
That much more. But I just wanted to show you.
And if you're on a
That's pretty good money, isn't it?
Basis,
Oh my gosh.
Same deal.
$30,000 commission.
It was like-
house,
It was like 30.
15 grand in your pocket.
And I had it prepared. It's in these mini documents somewhere, and I'll get some of this out to you. But
And I've seen checks of his that
That's what he said.
yeah, pretty amazing. Okay, is that quite an eye opener?
because
So
there's
you get a lot of information from just a little bit of input. It's real easy to input. We'll go through it. It's not like real technical.
So they're paying over the line.
Now, is that calculator only available when you have a client, or are you able to?
No, you can do what ifs. You do John Smith, Jane Smith. Yeah. Okay, we're wrapping up, guys. We're wrapping up. I know I've thrown a lot of stuff your way, and there's so much more to it, but from a simplicity point of view, your job initially is to get into trouble. Your job is to wear a badge, either on your face or just introducing yourself, and to say, hey, ask me about reverse mortgage. Go ahead, ask me. And your job is to learn an elevator pitch explaining what you do. Just enough to have them, I want to know more. Your job is to create a database, whether it's written old school, preferably email format, so you can make your marketing efforts and keeping in contact with all your people easy and turnkey. Your job, with our help, is to continue to learn more about the product and how it can work to the benefit of all kinds of different situations. Okay, and for that, you're going to get really well paid. Or you can work a whole lot less and enjoy your retirement with a really nice part-time job. Okay? Sweet part-time job. Because you could be at the coast at Pismo Beach. I know this. Coast at Pismo Beach.
You've been there doing
And say, I'll get back to you with my family right now, but I got your answers. And can I call you at 3:30? I'll be available then. Make sure I don't have too much wine. And I go over it on the phone, on my computer.
Yeah.
I'm done. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? So this business allows you that kind of flexibility. Even when you're working, you don't have to work too hard. You don't have to clock in, not have to be chained to a desk. Last thing I'm going to leave you with, next to the last thing, is reverse mortgage transaction cycle. I think you got one of these. If you don't, I'll get you one, but I'm going to go through it. Let me turn off that screen first. Thank goodness I'm wearing my hat. I blind you guys. Yeah. Reverse mortgage transaction cycle. The first step is you got to find someone. It's called interested person inquiry. That's your first step in the transaction cycle. Just hear me. Be in the moment. I'll get you this.
Okay.
Second step, you got to meet or call the prospect and use probes to uncover the need and obtain the facts and confirm the customer's needs and relate to that emotionally or their desires, fears, and wants, right? 3, you prepare a quote based on the meeting or what you uncovered with your open probes over the phone or in person, or you get help from a mentor in preparing that. But you need to share with them what you found out in your probing questions, your findings. 4, you deliver the quote either electronically and go over the phone with them. That's fine. But again, anybody can do that, including AAG over the phone. You'd be better off to go in person. Because your strength is going to be, if you're in a competitive situation, is that here's the difference. I know you already started with AAG, but we're a correspondent of AAG, so we have the same product. And we have the same price to you. But I'm here.
Here.
I'm your neighbor.
Big difference.
Okay? So you deliver the quote and go over the quote with the customer. 5, you obtain a commitment that the prospect will proceed to the next step, which is counseling. Okay, let's stop there. If you're looking at this from a sales perspective, your close of the sale is getting them to go to counseling. That is the close. You're going to go over all these things. You're going to empathize with them. You're going to understand their needs. You're going to cry. You're laugh with them. You're going to identify with them. Do all those things. You've had a wonderful visit. But unless you can commit them to go, get a commitment for them to go to counseling, you don't even have potential of turning that into an application. So that is your focus. And so it's an old sales technique that I learned a long time ago. Steve, even you will remember this. It's called entice and retreat. You give them something, they're excited, then you take it away because there's a qualification. In a home loan, we're going to fund your $1 million place, but you got to do an application, you got to pay the appraisal. In this case, it's that, wouldn't that be wonderful? Your husband doesn't have to work anymore. It's going to change your life and see the grandkids more. I agree. This is really a good solution for you folks. But you know, legally, I can't even start the application process. All we can do is talk about this. We can't even start. The HUD, the federal government said we can't start until we have an independent HUD-approved third party do independent counseling with you. Until you do that, we really can't go on the next step. All we can do is just talk about it. And then your goal is to get a commitment that they're going to go to counseling. Okay? 6, follow up with the customer immediately following counseling. So You're gonna say, you're gonna go to counseling? Yes. Who of these make sense to you? Okay. I know I have my favorites, but them, okay. When are you gonna make that call? When do you think I have time to maybe set that up? They can do it right over the phone. See what I'm saying? It sells. Good. When would be a good day that I can follow up with to see what's your time frame on that counseling? Because again, I can't do much until we get that done. Okay, good. I'll follow up with you. You have counseling, you follow up within the week. What, 10 o'clock? Okay. I'll give you a call at 3. Is that okay? Or no, or at 4 would be better. And you follow them through that process. You got the counseling, right? So when they got the counseling done, you use a sense of urgency to say, hey, I got everything ready for our next step. A couple more bits of information I need to prepare the application. Here's what I need. Could you have this available? And would Thursday be good or would Friday be better? And then you set the appointment. Now here's what happened. It's an interesting dynamic from when I first started. I used to do a lot of training for them. It was really my fault. I trained them, and they knew all about the answers to the question before they went to counseling. And I thought I was doing a great job. What I found out was, other than what I presented to them that was already done in the proposal, the quote, that's really all I need to go over, because counseling covers all the details for me. So they're like my assistant covering all the details and answering all the questions. That's how it's designed to be. So when I come there, when I set the appointment, I come there, an old sales technique is, they call it the assumptive close. I'm just assuming they're going forward. So when I set the appointment, I'll meet with you and I'll bring some paperwork we need to do. And you sit down and say, how was the counseling? Great. Anything you learned that was different? Yes. Yeah. Any questions? No, they covered it pretty good. Okay. Now, how do you want, are you going to put the trust you have, or as an individual? Which one do you prefer? Okay, good. Would you guys, we're going to take title, how do you spell the first name? Is it Ron or Ronald? And you just assume they're moving forward until they go, whoa, hey! It's not a trick, it's a psychology. It's an assumptive close, you just move forward. And they'll move forward. But if you say, are you sure you want to do this? And wait, and then you'll cast doubt, because there's a part of the buyer cycle is buyer's remorse. It's like, I don't know, let's think about it. So just move forward with it. Does that make sense? Now, if they stop you, honor their opinion. And obviously, there's something you're not clear on. What can I help you with that maybe is causing you to delay? All right. So you take an application in the forward mortgage world. They call it a real estate loan application, residential real estate loan application. It's a 1003, and reverse mortgages is a 1009. You complete that. Before you meet with them, what I typically do is I prepare the 1009 over the phone. Like get all the details so I can have the application completed. And that way I input it into the calculator and it spits all the documents out. The only documents that are not done, and it's so turnkey, guys, it's amazing. And it's all pursuant to law. Only thing we're missing is the state forms. That is it. It's all done and done properly. Okay? It's not, the only thing is on the good faith, you got to get a few proper quotes, to make sure you're pursuant to law. That's it. But it's pretty turnkey.
All the same state forms?
Yeah, all the same state form. Exactly the same state forms.
And we have all the.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I usually ask those questions, prepare the documents, set the point, go to the appointment, and then start having them sign. I resell the sell. First thing I get there, and I say, hey, as we talked before, this is a good decision. Why? Because John's going to be able to, retire finally. You guys are going to enjoy more motorhome and more vacation time with the grandkids, and that's so important. That's fantastic. And I have some forms to sign to begin the process, and you just move into it. Does that make sense? You collect all the documentation that'll be listed on an application checklist that I'll probably have Steve make up for us. Okay, so we'll make sure we get all the proper documentation, because he's an underwriter, those guys. You collect an appraisal fee and a credit reporting fee, because they have been through counseling. Okay. You complete a setup, now you got everything done. Everything's signed. You hug them goodbye, you take off. Then you complete, there'll be a setup sheet we're gonna have you do. So you put information there. You deliver the signed forms, preferably in person to Stevie back there in his department. Or with Steve's okay. All this can be electronic signature because it's all online files anymore anyway. And you can deliver to him via scan. However, that's between you and Steve. We haven't worked that out yet. You give them, your clients, weekly updates after you've talked with processing. Hey, how are we doing? Or knowing Stevie's probably proactive. Anything he needs, he's going to ask you anyway. But at least once a week, you need to see what's going on with the file, and you need to call the client or email the client or text the client, whatever is their preferred mode of communication.
Time out.